night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better. I love knowing I have the power of the NP Dodge brand behind me. I would recommend NP Dodge to new agents looking to jumpstart their real estate career and to current agents who want to take their business to the next level.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old-fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with Taco Night on Mondays or Whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Mo's Moving is now Mo's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartments, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
live from the heart of Lincoln, America. Welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Harrison Arns of the 1-2s still here at 1040 O Street. Just wrapped up Tristan Gomez. Like I said, he's still back here working at the Ticket Studios. He may join me for segments 2 or 3 if he ends up having some time. We do got Royals on the airwaves. I don't believe they started yet, but likely to start very soon. Knock on wood that there is no weather issues going on there tonight. I know in Lincoln it's been cloudy and gloomy all day. It looks like it's going to rain, but it has not at all. I think most of it's been south, so hopefully Kansas City Royals should be able to play. If not, I'll have to delay it or postpone it. But I think they should be good. It's supposed to start 7:05, and I'm not seeing anything yet, but only a couple minutes late isn't anything to worry about. But they got the Chicago Cubs 59-40, and again, the Kansas City Royals on the road as they are 48-52. All right, with that being said, we're going to go back into talking where we were with college football, but not so much on the blue chip ratio, although it does tie into it a little bit. We're going to talk NIL, and we're just going to finally get some more numbers out there. This one's a CBS article. Let me get the name. To credit Will Backus, put this article out on Texas A&M. NIL figures nearly tripled from 2024 that highlight spending disparity between men's and women's sports. Okay, first thing in this headline, Texas A&M NIL figures nearly tripled from 2024. Insane. Tripled. The second part, but highlights spending disparity between men's and women's sports. This one, I mean this in the nicest way possible. There's going to be an obvious reason for that. And until, football, until you find something that rivals the amount of college football's revenue, it's going to be very hard to make it a perfect world. All right. And that's just the world we're in. The basketball has figured it out. And I'm sure some of those basketball players are getting paid really good money, rightfully so. The women's basketball players. Volleyball's figured it out as well, but it's not on the same level as competing with college football in terms of revenue. Now, if you had a bunch of Nebraskas and a bunch of Memorial State, I mean, we could fill it up here in Nebraska locally. But college football has this hold over the entire country where I can go to some places across the U.S. and I'll find some people that just aren't interested in volleyball whatsoever. Now, if I were to bring them to Nebraska and show them some Husker volleyball games, that I might be able to change their tune and maybe do so pretty quickly. But if they're not growing up around with it, it's going to be hard to get that level of revenue, not just locally, but I mean, we're talking across the board here. And that's why college football is such a valuable asset, and why the disparity is going to exist for as long as college football exists in my mind, unless you want to put some hard numbers in there that says, hey, I don't care what you brought in. We're doing this on the split regardless, and we're just going to pull everybody's revenue together and split it evenly no matter what. That's how we're going to do it. That's the only fair way to do it. But like in the next 20, 50 years, anything, not even just women's sports, like go find a sport that's going to outmatch college football's revenue. That's the disparity. So the second one, again, I think it's a good article, but it's like, that's kind of Captain Obvious. Highlights spending disparity between men and women's sports. Of course, it's going to happen for a while unless there's something hard in paper. But this is the reason why I want to mainly bring this up. Texas A&M's athletes received a total of $51.4 million in a name, image, and likeness from July 2024 to June 30th, 2025. 49.2 million of that went to men participating in sports. So $49.2 million all went to men's sports. That says a lot about college football and how much is that bringing in. Also maybe points to Texas A&M and how much they're spending on basketball to get that much money out there. But that's the disparity. And I'm telling you, like, it's college football is the reason for that huge make your jaw hit the floor disparity. It also makes the 20.5 million number laughable. The fact that that much money was going through, it makes you more comfortable that the House settlement has gone through, because the fact that they were able to spend that much money, $49.2 million, is insanity. I don't care how good that player is. At this point, I mean, you're giving guys money on pure potential. And I'm not saying all these contracts are bad. It's not like the kid shows up and he walks into his dorm room and there's like $10 million sitting on the floor. Well, it wouldn't even be that much. That's a huge exaggeration. It's not like he's got $1 million sitting there on the floor. It's not that crazy. I'm hoping some schools are smart about it, where they have it on contracts where it's here's a little bit here, here's a little more later, here's a lot more then, and here's all of it at the end. Like, if it's that kind of contract where you're just kind of easing into that, that's a world that makes much more sense. But we don't fully know in this NIL world why the College Sports Commission is a great thing. And in my mind, the most important thing in that bill, in that settlement, I should say, between the House and NCAA, was that you have some clarity that this stuff can't just go unchecked. All right, you're going to have to bring it through some third-party eye that isn't your best friend, that isn't some donor, that isn't some booster, that isn't or I should say that isn't, maybe I can't say, that isn't the NCAA looking the other way because they're scared, or looking the other way because they don't want to lose the money. It's the NCAA, but it's also it's got some strength to it now that can hold its ground a little bit more. And if they don't follow it, there's real legal repercussions to it. And they're totally in violation of. So I think it's a great thing. I think it's going to help certain things like this. How do you drum up $49.2 million worth of name, image, and likeness? Probably not all of it. It's legitimate money, but how the College Sports Commission works today, I bet you a lot of that wouldn't fly. So it's an unreal number. And again, that goes to the back to the bag man that I always talk about. Teams are going to keep finding ways to try to get up to that number, I think. But that's an insane amount of money. $51.4 million from 24 to 25. July 1st, June 30th. Texas A&M. And which you always knew were huge, huge spenders. But that being said, though, that's $2.2 million combined for women's sports. So that's that disparity that he's talking about. And is it right? You can argue about it, but until we get that part figured out in legal print, it's going to be that way. Until you find something that rivals it, like you're going to find the odd ones out there where, Dawn Staley, South Carolina, she's got a squad. Obviously, when Iowa and Caitlin Clark and then Angel Reese and LSU, those two teams going up against each other. I mean, those guys has had huge NIL value. So you're going to meet those stars out there that if they're bringing in the audience, they're going to get the NIL money. And that's kind of the bottom point of all of it, which now circles into the WNBA, who also want more money. And I actually am maybe going to take the opposite opinion of maybe what most people think. If people are upset for the WNBA of wanting more money, you're absolutely foolish. You negotiate when the iron's hot. That's what you do. And if you're Caitlin Clark and you're making $75,000 a year, you're going to want more money. Like, period. That's an insane rookie contract to be on. And you can say, well, the WNBA has been making money, X, Y, and Z. They're expanding a lot for a reason right now. The reason why they're expanding, why do you think they want to add all these teams because they're all of a sudden worried about losing their money? No, it's finally having an outcome that looks potentially like a lot of money. That's why you're seeing these owners and NBA teams actually invest into the sport, because they see an opportunity to make a lot more money. So now, with that being said, you're having new teams go for like $250 million, and then you have an employee that's making $75,000. Like, this is the problem. It's become such a lightning rod with anything attached to, the WNBA and those guys wanting more money, because we're not talking about the WNBA 5-10 years ago. If we're talking about the WNBA 5-10 years, we can even go 3 years ago. You can maybe have an argument there. That I would agree that, I'm sorry, this is the way it is. Like, until we can figure out some real way to make some money, if I was an investor, I wouldn't want to go that route with the WNBA. But if we flash forward to 2025, don't look at this like the WNBA from 5 years ago. Don't look at this as a sports fan. Don't look at it as a Caitlin Clark fan, an Angel Reese fan, a whoever you want fan. Look at it as an investor of it, and you would understand it a little bit more and not let your first emotion give your opinion. And that's where the WNBA is at. So, of course, they're in a position to ask for more money, and rightfully so. That is what you're going to do if you're part of that players union. And you're seeing the rest of the league make moves that look like they are banking on bringing in a bunch more money. And reading the tea leaves, it all seems pretty obvious that the league is going to be making a lot more money. And if everyone's just getting paid $70,000 on rookie contracts and your superstars are, breaking six figures and everyone wants to celebrate, that's the problem there. So with WNBA, I think that the players are going to be able to find a way to work it into their favor. Because I really do think the iron's hot for those guys, and they do have a lot of superstars around. And Caitlin Clark is marketable as she is, making $78,000. I think that's the real number that's going to stick out for people. And you can talk about Wilson. You can talk about all the greats in there as well. And that number is going to look kind of crazy when you start to see some of these new teams and how much they're raising, how much they're being sold for, what these new teams are proposing to open up in different cities for. Why would a league that everyone involved with only thinks is going to lose a bunch of money, why would anybody ever invest in that? Well, because they actually do think it's going to make money, and the players see this, and the union sees this. So it's a good time for those guys to ask for more money. You can talk about the shirts. If you don't like the shirts, whatever, that's fine. However you want to talk about the players union and how they go about demanding more money, I mean, that's just a personal thing. But if you're realistic, you would do the exact same thing if you were in the situation of any of those WNBA players. How you go about it is up to you. But the fact of the matter is, I'm confident 99% of people would absolutely go for that. Iron's hot, league's making more money, or at least has the potential to bring in a profit and then really expound off of that profit. Yeah, you'd be making the exact same moves. With that being said, that's all I got on the WNBA. I just had to point that out as we're talking with NAL and everything. And the WNBA, I've seen too much of that throughout social media where it's become, like I said, such a hot button issue for no reason other than just emotions and people looking at the WNBA as it was 5 years ago and not the WNBA as it sits today in 2025. But that being said, there's my 2 cents. We'll go ahead. We'll throw to a little bit of an early break here. We'll have 2 longer segments on the other side. Harrison Arens on the 1s and 2s, going solo. And then, of course, we'll still have best of ticket later today. So don't go anywhere. Talk to you guys in just a little bit.
You 1 week before your bill's due date. Just reply to the text to pay. It's that easy. Log into your account at les.com to sign up today.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better. I love knowing I have the power of the NP Dodge brand behind me. I would recommend NP Dodge to new agents looking to jumpstart their real estate career and to current agents who want to take their business to the next level.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Mo's Moving is now Mo's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartments, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also, no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
Make bill paying a breeze with Text to Pay. LES texts you 1 week before your bill's due date. Just reply to the text to pay. It's that easy. Log into your account at les.com to sign up today.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better. I love knowing I have the power of the NP Dodge brand behind me. I would recommend NP Dodge to new agents looking to jumpstart their real estate career and to current agents who want to take their business to the next level.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Mo's Moving is now Mo's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered. Specializing in home, apartments, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also, no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. As always, come Ticket weeknights. You guys can join in 402-464-5685. We do got Royals on the brick and mortar. Again, the Royals got the Chicago Cubs today. They are on the road, and they are up by 1 at the bottom of the second inning. And again, your Kansas City Royals 48-52, and the Chicago Cubs with a record of 59-40. So this will be a very good win for the Royals today if they can pull this one off. Try to get close to that 500 mark, and especially beating a solid opponent in the Chicago Cubs. Speaking of winners, we're going to keep talking some winners here. We got to talk about the Charlotte Hornets. Charlotte Hornets broke history, and I don't think anybody noticed or really cared, and there is some rhyme or reason to it. The Charlotte Hornets, let me double check here. Yes, 1988, since the Charlotte Hornets were a thing in the NBA, and yesterday was the first time in Charlotte Hornets history that they won anything. Anything that was significant, anything that had a trophy to it. The NBA Summer League champions were your Charlotte Hornets, and that is the only thing they've ever came in first for since joining the league all the way back in 88. We talk about the Hornets all the time. Sometimes it sounds like we're being mean just to be mean. No, that is why. They won something. Unfortunately for them, it was just a Summer League title, so it doesn't make a whole lot of headway other than a kind of amusing article. But it says a lot. The Charlotte Hornets being the first team. And again, it's just an NBA Summer League. But now they have the NBA play-in tournament, and they can try to win an NBA Finals. But I just thought that is an insane story that you don't see. A team being as long, and again, it's not the oldest team out there. But, I mean, they really haven't done anything. They haven't even made a final. So, obviously, if you don't make a final, that means you're not Western Conference champions. That means you're not Eastern Conference champions. That means you've never won the NBA play-in, even though that one's new, which is totally fine because, again, new. But then the Summer League's been around since you guys started, and that's the first one you won. That's just a surprising and shocking win for the Hornets. But shout out to those guys. maybe that was the thing they needed to finally break that curse. But there you have it, your Charlotte Hornets, the 2025 NBA Summer League champions. And NBA Summer League, I think it was maybe not as entertaining as everyone would have hoped. The most amusing guys in my mind were, Chicago Bulls. They had, I'm blanking on his name right now. Kawamura, if I'm saying it correctly. I mean, he's just really short. I think he was even shorter than Isaiah Thomas was. I mean, just a crafty guard, double doubles on points and a lot of assists. But it was kind of the other guys that were the highlights there. Cooper Blank, Bronny James, they had some moments for sure. And you're looking at some of those first round draft picks, but it's kind of everybody else I thought was really interesting in that. Seems like what everybody said about this draft class being really deep was right. Now, it doesn't mean like all the first round draft picks weren't. They were, but there was a lot of stuff over the entire NBA Summer League that was really interesting. So shout out to the NBA. I thought this was a good NBA Summer League. Again, great for the Hornets because they finally won something. But on top of everything else, there's a lot of interesting players in this year's draft class. And again, it goes from guys that were just picked up, like Juwan Gary, Bryce Williams, Jack McVay had some really good nights for the NBA Summer League, shooting really, really well from the 3-point line. Again, I understand they're not all rookies. Some of these are going to be first, 2-year, even 3-year guys. But you saw good basketball from just about every Summer League team out there. A lot of great moments. So I just think out of all the Summer League tournaments, this one was the best one in terms of just players. If you like the excitement, you want the drama, maybe not so much outside of that early game between the Lakers and Mavericks for obvious reasons, Bronny James, Cooper Flag. But in terms of identifying talent, if you plugged into this year's NBA Summer League, I think you're going to see a lot of those guys in the future have some really, really awesome careers. That's all I got on the NBA, though. I want to shout out North Carolina, Charlotte Hornets, because they've done it. They have, like I said, have never secured a trip to the NBA Finals or won a championship of any kind. Now they finally do. And they did it with the NBA Summer League. Now we'll go where I want to go with this, Ken, staying on the subject of winners. We did it in the first hour with Tristan Gomez. Let's go to the NFL side of things now. NFL, the question is how many teams are actually trying to win? Because you see it a lot in the NBA. And I think the NBA, it's even easier to sniff out which teams want to win, which teams are happy collecting the paycheck, the team-wide paycheck at the end of the year. Because, going back to the Charlotte Hornets, say you don't care about winning. You're the owner of the Charlotte Hornets and you don't care about winning. Okay, you're good. It doesn't matter. You're collecting the paycheck at the end of the year. If you're the owner, you can do what you want. As long as it's not obvious, you don't have to pay the luxury tax. You don't have to go out of your way to pay more money to try to go win. So you get a lot of teams that are just okay collecting checks. And then you get the group of owners and GMs that want to win, but they also are maybe being realistic about it, or they don't just flat out trust the guys on their team. And they kind of get into that situation where it's like, if we try to go all in right now, we're not going to have enough ammunition. And a few years later, when we want to go get the best free agent out there, and then you kind of run into, I mean, it feels bad. Like that's where you run into like maybe the Vikings, teams that are always good. And they seem to be, the Vikings are bad. They just have bad luck. I don't want to use those guys. I'd say Commanders lately have been good. Los Angeles Rams would be a good example, right? Los Angeles Rams, their last Super Bowl was, let's wait and wait. Okay, now we feel good. Obviously, QB swap between the Lions, Rams. They felt good. They paid an insane amount of money for that roster, and they absolutely had to pay for it later, but they did it in such a way that they got them the Super Bowl, and it just all pays for itself if you can get the Super Bowl. So the Rams are, in the NFL world of things, they perfected that in terms of we'll wait and spend when it matters most, and it worked out for a Super Bowl. And then you get the teams like the Chiefs, you can even throw on the Eagles that have just kind of systematically built their team around a quarterback that is solid. You have elite head coaches. What do you ever think about Sirianni? I think he's a solid head coach. He seems to have a pretty good eye for talent. Again, if you look at not last year, but 2 years ago, I think a lot of that was just you lose your offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator in the middle of the season, you're probably not going to do well. And when did they start losing games? Right when they lost the coordinators. So that's just a tough year. I think Sirianni's a good coach. I think that area where you just have consistency as well in an ownership group that seems to always be striving to win. Even when Alex Smith was the quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, you can make some arguments that not all those teams felt like they had a real shot to go win the Super Bowl, but they at least tried, and it felt like they put the money in there, and if when there was great players to be had, they would put a running up there with it. And they did well with the drafts. You get Patrick Mahomes. Okay, how do we want to work with this? You start bringing in some real superstars. Okay, you find a way to identify Kelsey. You build him up, Tyreek Hill. And then even years when it's bad, now you have this just awesome quarterback, an incredible head coach where there's such a winning culture that you can even suffer a few bad years and just plug right back in. And when the iron's right, you can bring in some new talent to shift up that roster. NFL, to say all this, to kind of wrap things up, how many teams in the NFL do I think can win a shot? ESPN, on their championship odds, they kind of have a rough 4, and I'm about right there with them. I think it's kind of hard to go anything past 4. And I agree with their 4. I flip the order, though. They got the Philadelphia Eagles as the number 1 choice. I put Chiefs and Eagles up there. I'm going to both go 650. They don't have the Chiefs that much further away. But until Mahomes is all said and done, it's hard for me to just look them off. Buffalo Bills plus 700. Baltimore Ravens plus 700. I might even want to write the Bills off until they finally find a way to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Until it's done, the fact that those guys have lower odds than the Chiefs, I'm not buying it. Switch those go. So maybe 3 teams that they have a ton of faith in. Everybody else, like the Detroit Lions, Ben Johnson losing your offensive coordinator stuff, I think they will be a very good team. I don't think the Lions are going to fall off the chart just because their offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, who's now the head coach of my Chicago Bears, left. I think that's still a very, very solid team. The reason why that team started winning football games was because Dan Campbell got there. And then Ben Johnson did a great job in helping him build what Dan Campbell had for the vision, but it was always kind of Dan Campbell's vision. And Dan Campbell's a play action guy. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of what made Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson click so well together was that Ben Johnson was a huge believer in the run game to set up play action. Can we run the ball so that when I have my quarterback back there and we run play action, it's not just to mess around. There's a lot of teams in college football in particular where you will see teams do play action, and it's like, who are you fooling? No one is falling for it anymore because it's like every time you try to do that play action, if you don't actually commit to running the ball, it just turns into crushed pocket immediately. But if you can get into that effective run game, players got to freeze. They got to make sure they're keeping an eye on that running back. By then, maybe you get that extra step. And there's a lot of teams, and that's why I'm not always a huge fan. And when you have a quarterback and shotgun over and over and over and over again, sometimes I like it when you got to drop back and maybe fake the handoff. I think you just get way more dynamic when you're right underneath center. That's a lot of Ben Johnson, right? And that's why I think Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson work so well. But that is still Dan Campbell, that personality. He's going to be able to find guys that have that similar value to him. I think that's why I'm not worried about the lines falling off. I think it hurts, but I'm not going to doubt that Dan Campbell can't find somebody of similar mind to Ben Johnson or just another great offensive coordinator as well. And at the end of the day, I still think he's the guy that really turned that team around with the help of others, but don't get it mixed that Ben Johnson turned that team around. And now without him, they're going to fall apart. Don't think they're going to win a Super Bowl, but I do like them up there. So tier 1, real contenders. I think you go Eagles, Chiefs, Ravens. Tier 2, Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills and Detroit Lions might just be in a league of their own. And I would put the Buffalo Bills in that tier 1, but again, it's just been so brutal for them for so long. It's really hard for me. I'm going to put them in that Detroit Lions group. And then we'll go tier 3. I think you can safely go 49ers, Bengals. You can throw Commanders in there because, again, the Cincinnati Bengals' weaknesses is that defense. The Commanders' weakness is they're maybe too young at spots. Who was the other one I threw in there? Yeah, the 49ers. We'll see what Brock Purdy can do this year. and that team's faltering a little bit on who their superstars are and what they're trying to do, with that core unit. And Brock Purdy, as I've always said before, gets a lot of heat for being a guy who, really had to prove a lot. Coming off there, having to take over an injury, and then winning every single game, and then making all the way to a division playoff game, and having game-winning drives within all of those. And then it feels like the scouting report's a little bit more clear on him than it was in years past, and he's been struggling more. And then anytime you're on that 49ers offense with that many weapons, like, you're going to get the argument that, well, you're only able to do X, Y, and Z because these are your weapons. And if you can just be a basic quarterback, and the thing that does drive me up a lot sometimes, be a quote unquote game manager, you should be winning on these games. But I think people forget he had some massive game winning drives. So it's an interesting year. I'm not over on those guys at all. I think they can bounce back. But again, I think that's probably a tier 3 team. So that, anything after that, we can have some fun with it. We can really go down the road, but you're not picking any of these teams until the Bengals fix their defense, until maybe the Commanders show you a little bit more as they're still pretty young, until the Los Angeles Rams feels like they're past their window. The Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love, he's been really streaky. The Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert, everyone's kind of waiting. Jim Harbaugh loves you. Everyone is really hyped about your guys' new alternate uniforms, which are pretty clean. I can't deny that. But we haven't really seen it at a super consistent level. So you got a question mark there. The Houston Texans, CJ Stroud, great quarterback. Is there going to be a fall off, or are we going to see that continued progress that, we thought we were going to see? He didn't drop in a super big slump, but I think people are just expecting more explosiveness. And instead, it's like you're getting more tape on you. He's having to adjust a little bit, but I still think he's doing a really good job. I think the Texans are going to be solid in that division. I just don't think they're good enough to break through. I think they're good enough to make it to that divisional playoff game. I'm not sure about them breaking through, but I do really like them. Minnesota Vikings, I just need to know if you guys are cursed or not. That team, year in, year out, has been just plagued by missed field goals, by crazy moments at the very end there. You got Sam Darnold, who worked out phenomenally well. We'll see if they can do it with J.J. McCarthy. We just don't know a lot about him either. So you kind of got 2 question marks. 1, the curse. 2, J.J. McCarthy. And you ironically feel better about J.J. McCarthy than the quote-unquote curse. Denver Broncos, Bo Nix. Okay, again, same thing that happened to C.J. Stroud. What's the tape on Bo Nix? Is there the fall-off? And I hate using the word fall-off because with C.J. Stroud and guys like Brock Purdy, it's not like the complete careers went to, crap. They were fine. It just wasn't as electric as year 1 when everyone was still kind of getting used to them. So not a fall-off, but maybe a slowdown is the better word. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I like it. Are they too old at certain spots? Baker Mayfield, everybody loves him. Can he really be that guy? Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams, that's it. Defense and the head coach. All that stuff's got to come together eventually. Maybe. Pittsburgh Steelers, Aaron Rodgers. I think that one's easy too. Aaron Rodgers has got to prove it that he can still be that Super Bowl caliber quarterback. And even at times when the Jets were healthy, even when the Jets became the New York Packers, again, the Jets, it got to the point where Aaron Rodgers was just bringing in so many former teammates from the Green Bay Packers. That roster looked like a Packers roster of the Rodgers past. It got crazy there. So I think Aaron Rodgers, he's got to prove a lot. You get all the people that you quote unquote have great chemistry with, and then you can't put it together. New York, I get it's a tough franchise, but you went there because you thought it could work. It wasn't working. You bring in more people because you think that'll work, and then it doesn't work. And then obviously the Jets don't like it. You don't like it. Mutual agreement. Let's split. I don't feel great about it on the Steelers either. Obvious questions there, and it's not Mike Tomlin. It's Aaron Rodgers. Going through it here. Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray. I don't think anyone has a lot of faith on these. Quickly going through the rest, Dallas Cowboys, they got some more weapons there. Seattle Seahawks, maybe Atlanta Falcons, New England Patriots, Miami Dolphins with Tua. No one knows. Jacksonville Jaguars, disaster. Raiders, I should be higher. I think the Raiders can be a little more frisky than this ESPN article gives them credit for. Anyways, they got a 50-1 odds. Apologies, 100-1 odds. I think they deserve better odds than the Miami Dolphins. I really do. Because at least if you're the Las Vegas Raiders, your quarterback's got a much better chance about staying in all season. And it's like your defense is still good. I mean, that's a defense that's able to take down the Chiefs at times, purely through defense and nothing else. So I think that's kind of a little low for those guys. Colts, agree. Panthers, Jets, Giants, Browns, Titans, Saints. Slap that bottom all into a pile of like teams that got that are in the bottom. Like, just say that simply. Those teams at the bottom, that's about perfect in terms of the teams that you just feel like, again, not this year, not next year, maybe 5 years. That's kind of where a lot of those teams are at. With that being said, we'll wrap up on some more NBA talk. We'll talk about a little offseason details. And if we got time for it, maybe some Husker football, but not a ton of time here left. We'll throw out the break. We'll have about 5 minutes on our last segment number 3. Harrison Arns going solo. Don't go anywhere. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Moe's Moving is now Moe's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered. Specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important story.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left at once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2. Attention all Wings fans, Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Life changes, and sometimes that means changing where you call home. Whether you're downsizing, growing a family, relocating, or facing tough times, you shouldn't navigate it alone. I'm Laura Bonta-Bush with Woods Rose Realty, and I'm here to guide you with all your real estate needs. As wife of football coach Bill Bush, I understand the importance of teamwork and making sure you are supported every step of the way with honesty, integrity, and compassion. If you're looking for a game plan to buy or sell your home, text or call me at 402-525-0843. That's 402-525-0843.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
Hopefully you and I agree that you should do everything you can to save your marriage. Divorce is hard, expensive, and its outcome is usually not all you hope for. However, when doing everything has failed, when divorce remains as your last option, consider Cordell & Cordell as your first choice to help you through the divorce process to a better place on the other side. We've been a partner men can count on for more than 30 years. Let us be that partner for you.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 402-858-3220. That's 402-858-3220. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Lincoln. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Prashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment. Harrison Arns and the ones and twos wrapping things up, and this one will be fun. Chris Paul, NBA doc. He is now officially a Los Angeles Clipper. That one about yesterday went through, made a deal. Los Angeles Clippers. I believe, how much is it? I'll just try to get the exact number. I'm not sure if there's an exact number on the contract, but he has agreed to deal with the Los Angeles Clippers. Double checking if there's a certain number. Okay, no real number on it, at least not yet. We'll probably see one come out later. But like I said, Chris Paul, officially Clipper. And there's an opportunity to make this one of the craziest teams of all time. If everybody's like been watching the Clippers, it's pretty obvious that the Clippers are like an older team. I mean, really an older team. And not just between their superstars, like even their role players like Batum. Like it's old. And they lost Zubac, which ironically made them older. Like even though Zubac seems like an older kind of center in the NBA on that Clippers team, he was young. Now with Chris Paul, they have the opportunity to run the starting lineup of Chris Paul, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Batum, and Brook Lopez. The average age of that starting lineup would be 36.4 years old. That is insanity. And it's totally fine. It's not insanity in a bad way or a good way. It's just insane that you've managed to get that old of a roster. Ironically, because when you go look at other teams, like the Thunder, who just won, that is like one of the youngest teams. I think their average age was like 24 or even 23. And then you go in college, and I believe it was Auburn who had the average age of like 24. The ages in basketball these days are incredible, because you get to the NBA, you have a 36.4 possibility potential lineup. If that's the lineup they choose to go, which is just an insanely average age with a ton of experience. But everyone's, 36, well past their prime. And then, you look at teams like the Thunder, who just won it, and they're all just a bunch of young guys. There seems to be some sort of a shift in the NBA where it felt like you had to take your lumps and bruises to kind of get through. And now it's like you have these younger teams kind of breaking the norms a little bit earlier than people expect. Like Pacers were one for me. Like I didn't expect the Pacers at all. Thunder, another one that broke through a little too fast. Rockets are going to be scary. Like I know they got Kevin Durant now, but 2 years ago you wouldn't say, well, Kevin Durant in this roster is going to go win or win a Western Conference Finals or a NBA Finals. If hindsight 2020, you could look at that roster 2 years ago being like, give this team 2 years, they're going to be good enough to maybe win a Western Conference Finals. With Kevin Durant, takes him over the top. But it's not just because of Kevin Durant. Like 2 years ago, you wouldn't have said anything. And now this year, it's like you're watching that team and how good they are already. Like, okay, they just need maybe one piece, not even like a superstar who's just going to demand everything. That team takes them over the top. And then you get older teams like the Warriors who seem to be aging out, and they're really struggling. Even the Nuggets, who were pretty, not old, but veteran. They got some older guys on there for sure, and they kind of fell short. There's something with this age that the Clippers going these old man ball. And it's not old man ball. I mean, they're only, over their mid-30s, which is a little bit older. you got to be really concerned about injuries if you're the GM, though. I like the team a lot. That to me is such a good stacked team, but that is just like such a risk of age, especially knowing how Kawhi Leonard's been doing. James Harden, even Lopez, who I think, as far as big centers goes, he might be one of the most solid in terms of not racking up major injuries that take him out for, months and months at a time. Same thing with Batum, but it's an old roster. I'm going to be very excited to see if they can stay healthy. That team could win. Again, they just got to stay healthy. We'll finish on this one. Shout out to our text line. Augie, T. Lue might as well become a coach/player. Better odds to win something. That's the best text of the day so far. I mean, it's seriously, at that age, Ty Lue, go ahead, put the jersey on. Kawhi Leonard, he needs to give his legs a break. Batum, Lopez, Ty, you're in. That's going to wrap it up for us. I appreciate everybody tuning in. As always, there's kind of my little rant on really just the craziness of how old the Clippers are. We talked about how many legitimate contenders are there in college football as well as in the NFL. I think the NFL, it's 3-4 if you're feeling cute. College football in the Big Ten, you're maybe looking at one school, two schools at most. And then the SEC, pick two, I think at most. And then Clemson, that's a reach. Not as many real contenders as you think, but doesn't matter. We're getting closer. And before you know it, we'll have NFL, college football, NBA, and we'll all be back. But until then, you'll have the ticket. Don't go anywhere. Best of the ticket. I'll run that stuff on the ticket app. Appreciate you guys listening as always.